The rain hammered against the cracked pavement like 1,000 angry fists as Sarah clutched her swollen belly and pushed through the heavy wooden door. Inside, the air hung thick with cigarette smoke and the smell of stale beer. Conversation died mid-sentence. Pool cues froze in mid-strike. Every pair of eyes in the dimly lit biker bar turned toward her, a scared, soaking wet pregnant woman who clearly didn't belong there. Her mascara ran in dark rivers down her cheeks, mixing with rain and tears she could no longer hold back. She was desperate, alone, and out of options. And she had just walked into the last place anyone would expect to find help. Sarah's hands trembled as she stood in the doorway, water pooling at her feet. She was 8 months pregnant, exhausted beyond measure, and running on nothing but adrenaline and fear. Behind her, somewhere in the storm-drenched night, was Marcus, her boyfriend, the father of her unborn child, and the man whose rage had finally driven her to flee with nothing but the clothes on her back and a battered flip phone with a dead battery. The bar was exactly what she'd expected from the outside. Rough, intimidating, filled with leather-clad bikers sporting tattoos that crawled up their necks, and arms like visual warnings. Chrome chains glinted in the low light. Harley-Davidson insignias decorated worn vests. These were not the kind of people Sarah had ever imagined asking for help. But when she'd run from her apartment complex 3 blocks away, this was the first place she'd seen with lights on and people inside. She had nowhere else to go. A massive man with a salt and pepper beard that reached. His chest slowly rose from his bar stool. His leather vest bore a patch that read, Road Warriors MC, President. His weathered face, mapped with lines that told stories of hard years and harder roads, showed no readable emotion as he took a step toward her. "Please," Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible above the jukebox playing in the corner. "I need help. He's coming for me. I just need to call the police or somewhere safe to wait until—" Her voice cracked, and she instinctively wrapped both arms around her belly as if to shield the baby from the world. The big man, whose road name she'd later learn, was Bear, exchanged glances with the other bikers around the room. For a moment that stretched like eternity, nobody moved. Sarah's heart sank. She'd made a terrible mistake. These weren't the kind of people who helped. She turned to leave, to run back into the rain and find somewhere, anywhere else. "Ma'am, you're not going anywhere in that storm while you're carrying a baby." Bear's voice rumbled through the silence like distant thunder. "Tiny, lock that door. Reaper, get her a chair and some water. Spider, call the cops, now!" The bar exploded into motion. Within seconds, Sarah found herself guided to a sturdy wooden chair that someone had dragged out from behind the bar. A woman with fierce blue eyes and a leather jacket covered in patches. The only other woman in the bar appeared with a blanket that smelled faintly of motor oil and cigarette smoke but was warm and dry. She wrapped it around Sarah's shoulders with surprising gentleness. "I'm Razor," the woman said, crouching down to meet Sarah's eyes. "You're safe now, honey. Nobody's getting through that door." As if on cue, that door shook with violent pounding. Marcus's voice, slurred and furious, echoed through the wood. "Sarah, I know you're in there." "Get out here now!" Sarah flinched so hard she nearly fell from the chair. Her breath came in short, panicked gasps. The baby kicked hard against her ribs as if sensing her terror. But before she could spiral into full panic, Bear positioned himself directly between her and the door, his massive frame an unmovable wall. 4 other bikers flanked him, arms crossed, faces set in expressions of cold determination. "Police are on their way," Spider announced, pocketing his phone. 5 minutes out." "Sir," Bear called through the door, his voice calm but carrying an unmistakable edge of warning. "The lady doesn't want to talk to you. Police have been called. I strongly suggest you leave before they arrive." The pounding grew more violent. Wood splintered slightly near the hinges. "That's my girlfriend! That's my baby! You have no right—" "The lady asked for help and we're giving it to her," Bear interrupted, his voice never rising but somehow filling the entire space. "That gives us every right. Now you've got 4 minutes before those cops arrive. What happens in those 4 minutes is entirely up to you." Razor stayed next to Sarah, one weathered hand resting gently on her shoulder. "How far along are you, sweetheart?" 32 weeks, Sarah managed between shaky breaths. "The baby's not due until—" She gasped suddenly, doubling over as pain lanced through her abdomen. Contraction? Razor asked sharply, instantly alert. Sarah shook her head, then nodded, then shook it again. I don't know, maybe? It's too early. This can't be... Spider! Razor called out. Tell those cops we might need an ambulance, too. The next few minutes blurred together. The pounding on the door eventually stopped, replaced by the wail of sirens cutting through the storm. Blue and red lights flashed through the bar's grimy windows. Sarah barely registered the police officers entering, talking to Bear and the other bikers, going back outside to deal with Marcus. All she could focus on was the tightening, pain in her belly and Razor's steady voice, telling her to breathe. Just breathe, help was here. The paramedics confirmed what Sarah feared. Stress had triggered early labor. She needed to get to the hospital immediately. As they prepared to transport her, Sarah grabbed Bear's massive, calloused hand. Thank you, she whispered, tears streaming freely now. I didn't think anyone would... Bear's weathered face softened into something that might have been a smile. We take care of our own out here on the road, ma'am, and tonight you were one of ours. As the ambulance pulled away, sirens fading into the rainy night, Bear stood in the doorway of his bar, watching until the lights disappeared. Behind him, Razor joined him, lighting a cigarette against the damp air. Think she'll be all right? Razor asked. She's a fighter, Bear replied. She'll be just fine. Her and that baby both. 3 days later, a young woman walked into the biker bar carrying a small bundle, wrapped in a pink blanket. Sarah looked tired but radiant, her smile genuine as she approached the bar where Bear was wiping down glasses. The entire MC had gathered when word spread that she was coming, though they all tried to appear casual about it. This is Emma, Sarah said softly, pulling back the blanket to reveal a tiny, perfect face. Emma Bear Rodriguez. I wanted you all to meet her, and I wanted you to know that I'm staying with my sister now, 2 states away. Marcus took a plea deal. Assault charges, restraining order. I'm going to be okay. We're going to be okay. She looked around the room at these unlikely heroes, these leather-clad, tattooed bikers who society would judge before ever knowing their hearts. Because of all of you. You didn't have to help me that night, but you did. You saved us. Bear's eyes grew suspiciously bright. He cleared his throat roughly. Just did what anyone should do, ma'am. But not everyone would, Sarah replied. Most people would have looked the other way. You didn't. None of you did. As Sarah made her way around the bar, letting each member of the Road Warriors MC see baby Emma, something shifted in that smoke-filled room. These were men and women who lived by their own code, who society often feared or dismissed. But on one rain-soaked night, they'd proven what too many forget, that kindness knows no stereotype, that heroes don't always wear capes or badges, and that sometimes the most unexpected hands are the ones that reach out when you need them most. When Sarah finally left, promising to send photos as Emma grew, the bar slowly returned to normal. Pool games resumed. Beer flowed. The jukebox played. But everyone there knew they'd been part of something special, something that mattered far more than any road they'd ever traveled. Outside, the rain had finally stopped, and above the city the clouds began to part, revealing stars that had been there all along, just waiting to be seen.